Hello. In continuation with our third chapter of abnormal psychology, already we have discussed about eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, even bulimia nervosa, its types, shades, DSM criteria, signs, symptoms also we have discussed. We have also discussed about some case studies. And also in brief, we have covered that how to treat or the role of counseling in dealing with eating disorder. So after that, we are going to discuss about alcohol-related disorder. By any means, the consumption, intake, or use of alcohol, it is not at all good. It is not at all accepted for healthy mind and even for healthy body. कुठल्याही प्रकारे दारूचा जो एक वापर आहे किंवा दारू इंटेक करणं, दारू, cigar or anything, it is not at all good for our health. Alcohol related in the sense alcohol use, alcohol intoxication and alcohol withdrawal. These things we are going to discuss with reference to nature, symptom, diagnostic criteria and even its causes. So first, let's just see the quick facts and a bit history that how far our India or state they have been linked up with this particular alcohol use in prohibiting its use. When it means Jayalalitha was CM, she shut down 500 legal stores. In Maharashtra, as per NCRB, so that means National Crime Record Bureau, it suggests, indicates that Maharashtra reported the most alcohol-related deaths, followed by MP and Tamil Nadu. So see how our youngsters and even adult group they have been involved in such type of things. Plus, 2 years back, in April, Bihar imposed a prohibition, a ban on sale, production and consumption of alcohol officially. In 2014, Kerala restricted the sale of liquor to 5-star hotels. Apart from this, as we might have read through some newspaper or by any other cases or so, when the person is under the influence of alcohol, he is not at all able to control by himself and even by others. Family violence, it is increased, elevated only because of alcohol in most of in most cases. Two criteria which we have discussed in very first lecture, so that is the behavior which is harmful for self and other is abnormal behavior, and another aspect is the behavior which is not under control is also an abnormal behavior. जिथे स्वतःच्या वर्तनावरती स्वतःचाच कंट्रोल नाहीये, ताबा नाहीये, ते सुद्धा अपसामान्य अशा वर्तनाचा तो एक महत्वाचा निकष हा तिथे ठरतो. मग ह्या गोष्टी अल्कोहोलशी रिलेटेड कशा? DSM criteria, it says that a difficult pattern of alcohol use, it lead to clinically significant impairment, even distress, which is manifested by at least 2 of the following. Out of 6, at least 2 things it should be present to diagnose. And for MCQ purpose, the duration it is important. So that is 12 months, of course means 1 year. For depression, it was 2 weeks. For some other psychological disorder, the duration was almost around 4 months, 6 months or so. For alcohol related, it is like 1 year. First criteria, that is, alcohol, it is often taken in large amounts, excessive. It says ati tithe mati. Excess is a dust. So often taken in larger amounts or over a longer period of time. Then also it is problematic. A persistent desire or unsuccessful effort to cut down. So this is like another vicious circle. Sometimes, so these people, they do understand that yes, means whatever they are doing, it is not good, but still they are unable to control themselves. So this failure, it may again elevate the same unwanted act. Third aspect is great deal of time is spent in activities which are necessary to obtain alcohol, use of alcohol, and even or recover from its effects. So nowadays we have de-addiction centers. Earlier we have only Muktangan, which is near Pune. येरवड्याला आहे. सो आता तिथे अल्कोहोल फक्त हे एकच नाहीये तर इवन व्हाइटनर ॲडिक्शन. 7-year-old child, she was admitted for 2 months in Muktangan de-addiction center for having whitener addiction. सो काही जणांना ती इतकी सवय असते की विक्स असेल किंवा आणखीन कुठला झंडू बाम असेल किंवा काही आणखीन त्याचा सारखा वास घ्यायचा, थोडस ते टेस्ट करायचं किंवा काय करायचं आणि मग ते जेव्हा आपल्या फिजिकल हेल्थ मधून रिफ्लेक्ट होतं, देन येस, देन इट मे क्रिएट्स अ बिगर क्वेश्चन मार्क. So this de-addiction centers, so nowadays, so they are fill up like anything. Fourth is craving or a strong desire or urge to use alcohol. In spite and despite of knowing its disadvantages, its cause, and every other thing, still the person is just unable to control himself, unable to resist himself. The impulsivity and even the vulnerability, it increases. So recurrent alcohol use, it results in a failure to fulfill major roles, duties, obligations, responsibilities, certain works which has to be done in that particular context. जिथे जे करायला पाहिजे किंवा ज्याला आपण जबाबदाऱ्या म्हणू, दारूचं इतकं व्यसन, इतकं आहारी जाणं की त्याचा काम असेल, रिलेशनशिप असेल, घर असेल किंवा आणखीन इतर ठिकाणी त्या जबाबदाऱ्या किंवा ते रोल हे पूर्ण होत नाही किंवा निभावले जाऊ शकत नाही. And sixth one is continue alcohol use despite having persistent or recurrent social, interpersonal, personal, financial problems also. किती आर्थिक सुद्धा नुकसान होते हे माहित असून सुद्धा त्याच्यावरती तो ताबा काही राहत नाही. Seventh one is important social, occupational or recreational activities which are given up or reduced because of alcohol use. सो अर्थातच मग आणखीन इतर सगळ्याच एरियावरती हळूहळू त्याचा तो इम्पॅक्ट हा होत जातो. रिकरंट अल्कोहोल यूज in situations in which it is physically hazardous. Some people first they consume alcohol and then they drive, even in night. Even if the rule is there that don't drink and drive, but some people are just unable to control themselves. दारू पिऊन ते गाडी चालवतात. सो अर्थात ते स्वतःसाठी आणि इतरांसाठी सुद्धा खूप हार्मफुल आहे. अल्कोहोल यूज इज कंटिन्यू डिस्पाइट नॉलेज ऑफ हॅव्हिंग अ persistent or recurrent physical, psychological issues that is likely to have been caused or exacerbated by alcohol. Another thing is their tolerance is also getting affected. In the sense, so there is a need for them. Alcohol, it is a need. काही झालं तरी पहिलं दारू पाहिजे. जर दारू असेल तर सगळं काही, दारू नसेल तर काहीच नाही. A need for markedly increased amount of alcohol to achieve intoxication or desired effect. A markedly diminished effect with continued use of the same amount of alcohol. And if they don't get, then they behave like anything. Their psychological spontaneous reaction is, I want it and I want it right now by anyhow. This is what is their simple explanation we can do. And if we somehow, if we control, then even withdrawal, so alcohol withdrawal, alcohol intoxication, some or the other way, they have the same criteria. Withdrawal, it is like as manifested by either of the following, the characteristic, and even alcohol is taken to relieve or avoid withdrawal symptoms. Shivering असेल, हातपाय थरथर कापतात किंवा तो बॅलन्स राहत नाही. सो म्हणून हे कुठल्याही प्रकारे ऍक्सेप्टेडच नाहीये की दारूचा जर यूज होत असेल वेळीच ती दारू सोडणं हे फार आवश्यक आहे. The main question it arises that why a person indulge or get engaged in such kind of activity. The causes. So technically speaking, we can, and et al. Other colleagues, so they have found in 2003 that neuropsychological causes are related to this thing. That means genetic vulnerability, which plays important role in developing sensitivity to the addictive power of drugs. Alcohol असेल, smoking असेल, or any other thing. That means काही लोकांमध्ये जीन्सच असे असतात की त्यांना स्वतःच्या बिहेवियर वरती कंट्रोलच करता येत नाही. दारू बघितली की ते आपोआप तिथे त्यांचे पाय वळतात. Some people are genetically sensitive for addiction. Another reason it can be, जर असं घरामध्ये कोणी दारू पिणारं असेल, रिलेटिव्ह मध्ये कोणी असेल, तर अपकमिंग जनरेशन मध्ये ती सेन्सिटिव्हिटी ही डेव्हलप होणार, कारण ती हिस्ट्री आहे. So the point is their genetic vulnerability. Some people, in the sense, in short, some people, they are biologically prone, ready to develop addiction. Second thing, which is psychosocial, it is like a peer pressure. संगत फार महत्वाची. If we have good friend, it is a treasure. ती खऱ्या अर्थाने एक आपली संपत्ती, किंवा चांगले फ्रेंड्स आपल्या सोबत असणं, it is really really important. But especially in adolescence phase, which is quite tricky and stormy age, if friends are only addicted, then it is the biggest loss of life. Peer pressure, exposure, that असे पण असतात की हो घरात पेरेंट्स, बाबा, काका किंवा मामा, आजोबा, आणखीन कोणीतरी. आधीचा ट्रेंड असा होता की फक्त जेंट्स ऍडिक्टेड असायचे, बट इवन नाउअडेज females are also consuming alcohol like anything. They are also do smoking, drinking, आणि आणखीन वेगवेगळे जे काही त्याच्यामध्ये शेड्स आहेत. लेडीज पण आता या सगळ्या गोष्टींमध्ये इक्वली इन अ वे इन्व्हॉल्व आहेत. अँड इवन द ऍडव्हर्टाइजमेंट. सो बऱ्याचशा ऍड अनफॉर्च्युनेटली अशा आहेत की ज्या ड्रिंकिंग किंवा ड्रिंकिंग रिलेटेड ऍक्टिव्हिटीजला प्रमोट करतात. The way media portray, it creates another impact. Another factor, another reason it can be failure in parental guidance. जर parents appropriately तिथे present नसतील त्या वेळेस, if there is no communication, if there is no presence, and some other issues. So failure in parental guidance, like exposure to negative role models, family dysfunctions or stress or any other thing. Another thing is speaking in terms of purely psychological in nature. Some people, some individuals, they are not emotionally mature as they should be. भावनिक दृष्ट्या सुद्धा तेवढी ज्याला आपण परिपक्वता म्हणू, समंजसपणा म्हणू, समजूतदारपणा तो नसतो. त्याच्यामुळे थोडंसं काही स्ट्रेसफुल किंवा अगेन्स्ट मध्ये काही झालं की लगेच मग दारूकडे पाय वळतात काही जणांचे. सो इमोशनल इमॅच्युरिटी. Another thing is expectation of social success, like status, fame, to be a part of that particular group. We should also drink. Some people, they unknowingly, they develop such kind of belief, understanding, expectations, and they behave accordingly. Increased popularity and acceptance by their peers if they are addicted to or if they are consuming alcohol. ती एक स्टाईल असते, म्हणजे ग्लास कसा पकडायचा, ते टेस्ट कसं करायचं किंवा दारू कशी प्यायची, आणि मग त्याच्यातून एक काहीतरी उगाचच हवा चढते किंवा डोक्यामध्ये नशा जी असते तो एक भाग. And marital and other intimate relationships, if there is failure in relationship, if there is failure at job level, if the person is constantly exposing to series of stressful events, then it may lead to consume alcohol again and again and again. And this repetition, it turns into addiction. So here again, basically application of behaviorism, it is quite useful to treat. Some or the other way, the same causes, the same things are involved, applicable, even alcohol withdrawal, alcohol intoxication, and some other issues related with it. So after that, yes, a review of 39 studies, it is called as a meta-analysis. A review of 39 studies of families of 6,251 alcoholics, and out of, so 6,000 पैकी 4,000 almost, 4,083 non-alcoholic who had been followed over 40 years. They reported that almost 1/3 of alcoholics had at least one parent with an alcohol problem. So exposure, family, atmosphere, environment, these things plays very, very important role. So this is how we have discussed so far about alcohol related issues. So their causes and even criteria, some or the other way, they are quite similar to each other. In next session, we are going to discuss about sleep related issues, and then we'll discuss with our remaining 4th chapter. Thank you.